the Parable of the Vineyard Torah portion life study. My name is Adam, your host. We know that the Most High has called a people out of slumber into belief in His Son, Messiah YHWH, and to walk as He walked, obedient to the commandments. Join us as we study the Torah line by line so that we may fellowship together, grow, edify, train, and prepare the body of Messiah, the children of Israel, for the return of Messiah YHWH, to be with Him forevermore. O Yahuwah, open Thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of Thy Torah. And Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Parable of the Vineyard Torah portion live stream studies. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you. And just really excited for the Shabbat long week. Ready for rest, ready for naps, ready for some freshly baked bread. It's kind of been a tradition lately. I'm the chef in the house by choice, by the way. I like cooking, but anyways, I've been trying my hand at baking, and so I've been baking. I've been baking prior to get on the live stream. So, anyways, just excited for that bread, and this is, for me, honestly, one of my favorite meals is just good old real bread, warm with some butter on it. I'm done. Anyways, I'm sorry. So, really excited for this Shabbat, and just excited to continue to get into Exodus. As we've been continuing to see that there's so many parallels in the Exodus of old and what's to come for us in the future. Really excited. So what we do here, if you're new, what we do here is we go through the weekly Torah portions, which are sectioned out, and we not only read the Torah portion, but we also read any parallel scriptures that we can find in like books like Jasher and Jubilees, books that really kind of bring out all the little details, because I've found that a lot of us are so hungry, so thirsty for the Word that it's very refreshing to get the whole story. Like when Enoch was taken on a journey through heaven, Enoch was asking about this and asking about that, and the angel's like, he's like, why do you ask about this and about that? And Enoch's like, his answer was, I want to know about everything, but I especially want to know about this tree, when he was shown the tree of life. Anyways, but nevertheless, I love all the details. Love how the Most High has hidden His wisdom in so many places. So, just as a disclaimer, I am no Torah expert. I am a student of the Torah. I've been called to study the Torah and to walk out the Torah and to live the Torah. And so I just invite you to be a study partner with me and go through these portions, and we're going to stop and talk about them. One thing we do, we will be doing, and we have done, is, a lot of people talk about the 613 laws of the Torah, and basically when we come across them, as we read them, we're going to kind of just talk about it real quick and see if it's something that we can obey, living in the land of dispersion as we are now. So anyways, let's start off with a quick prayer, and we will get right into it. So Heavenly Father, Yahuwah, we just come before you in Yahusha's name, your word, and as the scripture saith, we just pray that you open our eyes and ears to behold the wondrous things out of your Torah. And because we know that the Torah is everlasting, it's eternal, and we just praise your holy name, Yahuwah Sebaoth, that you woke us up to the truth of it, to the goodness of it, and we just pray that we can not only be hearers of it, but doers of it as well. So strengthen us, Abba, and set our feet aright, that we may walk the straight and narrow path and walk as Messiah Yahushua walked, our perfect example. In His name we do pray and bless you. Amen. So let's let us get into it, brothers and sisters. I'm going to do a quick screen share. And here we go. And we're going to be starting right at Exodus 10, verse 1, right where we left off. And we had the 7 plagues so far, and now we are at the 8th plague, the locusts. And let's read. So, Exodus 10:1. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him. And so we have to realize that Yahweh can harden who he hardened and revealeth to who he revealeth to. So Romans 9:17 through 22, Paul really kind of brings this concept home for us. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, Even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. So, right, his name. This isn't just about his character, but it's also about his holy name might be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will hardeneth, and whom he will he hardeneth. Right? So it's like it's his choice. And then Paul's kind of like already going there. He's like, don't think this way, right? Then you'll say to me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will? Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against Elohim? Shall the thing formed to him... shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, Why hast thou made me thus? Has not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another into dishonor? What if Elohim, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? So it's literally in his power to make people that were born to die and made in vain. And, it's his will that he softens who he softens and hardens who he hardens. And that's just kind of how it is. And I love it. I'm good with it because I know he's just and he's righteous, and he wouldn't do anything that's unjust or unrighteous. So, anyways, let's keep going. Verse 2. And that you may tell in the ears of your son and of your son's son what things I have wrought in Mitzrayim, and my signs which I have done among them, that you may know that I am Yahuwah. And this is such a really strong point here. And I'm talking to myself here. I'm not just, preaching on a soapbox here. This is what it's about. It's not just about us walking in it, but for those of you that have sons and daughters, we need to pass these things along. Why do you think it only took 1 or 2 generations for them to go astray? I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago on Shabbat, I was reading through Judges. I hardly ever read through Judges, but I felt led to read through Judges, and I'm glad. I mean, it was literally 1 generation after Joshua died, Joshua that brought them into the Promised Land and got all these victories, and it was 1 generation that started turning to serving other gods and to turning away from the commandments of Yahuwah. Why? Maybe because the fathers didn't do a good enough job, and that you may tell in the ears of your son and your son's son the things which I have wrought in Mitzrayim. And anyways, talking about, teaching their sons and daughters the commandments and whatnot. So I've got to do a better job too. This is our duty. This is all about the children. And it should have been with us. Our fathers should have taught us the right way, and our fathers' fathers and it should have been that way, but it's not. We've been in apostasy for multitudes of generations. But praise be to Yahweh, he's waking us up, and it's not just for ourselves, but it's for our children. Verse 3, And Moshe and Aharon came into Pharaoh and said unto him, Thus says Yahuwah Elohai of the Ivrim, the Hebrews, How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locust into your coast, and they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth, and they shall eat the remnant of that which is escaped, which remains unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which grows for you out of the field. So literally all the rest of the crops, anything that's food, the locusts are going to eat up and destroy. And they shall fill your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Mitzrayim, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth, even unto this day. And he turned himself and went unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahuwah Elohaikim. Know you not that Mitzrayim, that Egypt is destroyed? And Moshe and Aharon were brought again unto Pharaoh, and he said unto them, Go, serve Yahuwah Elohaikim. But who are they that shall go? And Moshe said, We will go with our young and with our old, with our sons and with our daughters. With our flocks and with our herds we will go, for we must hold a feast unto YHWH. And he said unto them, Let YHWH be so with you, as I will let you go and your little ones. Look to it, for evil is before you. Not so. Go now, ye that are men, and serve YHWH that ye did desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. So Pharaoh was like, No, you're not all going, just the men. And YHWH said unto Moshe, Stretch out your hand over the land of Mitzrayim for the locusts, that they may come upon the land of Mitzrayim and eat up every herb of the land, even all the hail has left. And Moshe stretched forth his rod over the land of Mitzrayim, and YHWH brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Mitzrayim, and rested in all the coasts of Mitzrayim. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them such shall be. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened, and they did eat the herb of the land, and all the fruit trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, nor of the earth herbs of the field throughout the land of Mitzrayim. And remember, in I think it's Revelation 9 with the locust army. There's some interesting parallels here, right? Interesting parallels, and we'll get to that when we get through the book of Revelation. We'll get onto that. Pretty good. Verse 16, Then Pharaoh called for Moshe and Aharon in haste, and he said, I have sinned against YHWH Elohim and against you. Now, therefore, forgive, I pray you, my sin only this once, and entreat YHWH Elohim, that he may take away from me all this death only. And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated YHWH. And YHWH turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one of the locusts on all the coasts of Mitzrayim. But YHWH hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Yisrael go. So, we're going to read a little bit of Jasher, and oops, I didn't have it pulled up. We're going to read Jasher chapter 80, verses 33 through 35. 33 through 35. So here's just another kind of look at it. And YHWH sent and brought numerous locusts into Egypt, the chasel, the salom, the chargol, the chagole, locusts each of its kind, which devoured all the hail had left remaining. Then the Egyptians rejoiced at the locusts, although they consumed the produce of the field, and they caught them in abundance and salted them for food. Right? So they're trying to be witty. And YHWH turned a mighty wind of the sea, which took away all the locusts, even those that were salted, and thrust them into the Red Sea, and not one locust remained within the boundaries of Egypt. Yeah. Wow. So, interesting. Okay, let's get back to Exodus. All right, we're going to read the rest of Exodus 10, and then we're going to read a little bit of Jasher. Exodus 10:21. And YHWH said unto Moshe, Stretch out your hand toward the heavens, that there may be darkness over the land of Mitzrayim, even darkness which may be felt. I don't think any of us have ever experienced that kind of darkness. I mean, like, you just can't see anything, period. There's no ambient light. Like if you were locked in that would be like my fear, to be like locked in a coffin or something, right? I don't want to fear anything, but I'm just saying like just nothing. You just pitch black. You can't see it. There's no ounce of light. And Moshe stretched forth his hand towards the heavens, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Mitzrayim 3 days. And they saw not one another, neither arose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Yisrael had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called unto Moshe and said, Go ye, serve YHWH, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed, let your little ones also go with you. And Moshe said, You must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto YHWH Eloheinu. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not be a hoof left behind, for thereof must we take to serve YHWH Eloheinu. And we know not with what we must serve YHWH until we come thither. Right? So we got to take all of our livestock because we don't know exactly what he wants us to sacrifice. But YHWH hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get you from me, take heed to yourself, see my face no more. For in the day that you see my face, you shall die. And Moshe said, You have spoken well. I will see your face again no more. So we're going to read just a few verses in Jasher about the darkness, because it kind of explains a little more in detail about what it really was like. Jasher 80, verse 36 through 40. And Elohim sent darkness upon Egypt, that the whole land of Egypt and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. I mean, just think about that. At that time died many of the people of Yashrael. This is something new that we get. So at that time died many of the people of Yashrael who had rebelled against Yahweh and who would not hearken to Moshe and Aharon and believed not them that Elohim had sent them. And who had said, we will not go forth from Egypt lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness, and who would not hearken to the voice of Moshe. And Yahweh plagued them in 3 days of darkness, and the Israelites buried them in those days without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing over them. And the darkness was very great in Egypt for 3 days, and any person who was standing when the darkness came remained standing in his place. And he that was sitting remained sitting, and he that was lying continued lying in the same state, and he that was walking remained sitting upon the ground in the same spot. And this thing happened to all the Egyptians until the darkness had passed away. Okay, it was pretty dark. All right, so 11, chapter 11. Shemoth, Exodus 11:1. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Mitzrayim. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and of gold. So I just thought it was interesting. So it was like, all right, borrow, like, were they being, treacherous by saying, hey, we'll borrow this and we'll bring it back? But the word sha'al is more, you can see here, it was translated 173 times. 94 times was ask. Inquire is also ask. Desire, right? Can I have? Require. And then only a few times borrow. So really, it's, to ask, to inquire, to borrow, to ask for. So it's not really, they weren't like being treacherous by asking to borrow. They were literally saying, give me your jewels. Let every man his neighbor and every woman her neighbor jewels of silver and of gold. And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of Mitzrayim. Moreover, the man Moshe was very great in the land of Mitzrayim, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. And Moshe said, Thus says Yahweh, about midnight will I go out in the midst of Mitzrayim, and all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sits upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of the beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Yashrael shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that you may know that Yahweh puts a difference between the Mitzrayim and Yashrael. So, people can say what they like about, I've heard people that, have mocked Yahweh and saying that, he's murdering all these babies and firstborns. Remember, he's a righteous judge. He is. And we know that the Egyptians were recompensed for all they did to the Israelites, especially what we read in the canon, in Exodus and in Jasher, about all the horrible things they did to the children of Yashrael. We also have to remember, we talked about this in the Isaiah study earlier, is that in Jubilees, here, actually let's read it. In Jubilees 7:20 through 28, we see that the law was given to all the sons of Noah. So Jubilees 7:20, and in the 28th Jubilee, Noah began to enjoin upon his sons' sons, the ordinances and commandments and all the judgments that he knew, and he exhorted his sons to observe righteousness, and to cover the shame of their flesh, and to bless their Creator, and to honor father and mother, and to love their neighbor. Do you see a pattern here? And to guard their souls from fornication, and from uncleanness, and from all iniquity. For owing to these three things came the flood upon the earth, namely, owing to the fornication wherein the watchers against the Torah of their ordinances went a whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves women of all which they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness. And they begat sons, the Nephilim. This is the giants, right? And they were all unlike, and they devoured one another. And the giants slew the Nephil, and the Nephil slew the Elo, and the Elio, mankind, and one man another. And everyone sold himself to work iniquity and to shed much blood, and the earth was filled with iniquity. And after this they sinned against beasts and birds and all that moves and walks on the earth, and much blood was shed on the earth, and every imagination and desire of men imagined vanity and evil continually. And Yahweh destroyed everything from off the face of the earth because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood which they had shed in the midst of the earth, he destroyed everything. And we were left, I and you, my sons, and everything that entered with us into the ark. And behold, I see your works before me, that you do not walk in righteousness. For in the path of a destruction ye have begun to walk, and you are parting one from another, and are envious of one another. And so it comes that ye are not in harmony, my sons, each with his brother. For I see, and behold, the devils have begun their seductions against you and against your children. And now I fear on your behalf that after my death you will shed the blood of men upon the earth, and that ye too will be destroyed from the face of the earth. For whoso sheds man's blood, and whoso eats the blood of any flesh, shall all be destroyed from the earth. So you can see here that they were given the law, they were given the commandments, they knew better, and they decided to rebel and go against Yahweh. Period. Okay, we're going to finish up chapter 11 here. Exodus 11:8, and all these your servants shall come down unto me and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get you out, and all the people that follow you, and after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that all my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe and Aharon did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Yasharal go out of his land. So, okay, so now let's read about the Passover, the Pesach. Okay. And here is where we're going to start getting a lot of those 613 commands, and we'll see which ones we can obey. Exodus 12:1, and Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe and El Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months, it shall be the first month of the year to you. And let's see here. One thing I want to talk about actually in Jubilees, I want to read Jubilees 6:23. So, 6:23, and on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons, and the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a testimony forever. So reason I'm reading this is I believe that the moons signal the months and the feast dates. I do not believe the moon is for the Sabbaths, but I do believe the moon is for the months and the feast days. So this month shall be unto the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year too. So that was their new year. So Abib was the new year. And one of the commandments, it says Exodus 12:2, ye shall determine the appointed times by observing the new moon. And just some other supporting scripture to that is, I want to show you in Sirach 43:6-8. This is Ecclesiasticus. This is the book that Justin and I just began reading together. He made the moon also to serve in its season, to mark the times, and to be an everlasting sign. From the moon comes the sign for the feast days. Plain and simple. The feast days are, Passover and unleavened bread and Pentecost, and all the feast days. It says the moon is the sign for them, so that's how we figure out when they are. A light that wanes when it has reached the full. The month is named for the moon. And that's why you'll see that word Chodesh. That's a whole other story. But the month is named for the moon, increasing marvelously in its phases, an instrument in the hosts on high, shining forth in the firmament of heaven. So we absolutely use the moon for the months and for the feast days. Okay. And then Jubilees 2 as well. 2:9. Jubilees 2. So speaking of the moon, let's talk about the sun real quick. And on the fourth day, he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth, and for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons and years. So the sun is also is for the Sabbaths, but it's also for the months and for the feasts, because we also need to count the days, of course. But it says the sun is for the Sabbaths. All right. And one of the biggest reasons I'm just not for a lunar Sabbath is you don't always get 6 days, work 6 days and get a seventh day off. Sometimes it's 5 and then a day off. And sometimes it's you work 7 days and then it's the eighth day as a day off. So it just doesn't work. Unfortunately, you don't get the consistent 7-day week. All right, Exodus 12:3. Speak ye unto the assembly of YHWH, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the house be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month. And the whole multitude of the assembly of YHWH shall kill it in the evening. So what I do love about this is if you do use the moon for counting the months and for the feast days, you will always get a full moon on Passover. And I can tell you this last Passover, when that full moon came up, it just let me know that that was the right day. Same with Sukkot. The first day of Sukkot, full moon. If you go based off the moon, off of the moon for the months, it's just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 posts and the upper doorposts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. And remember, think about the blood of Yahusha, right, on our house, covering over us so that we passed over. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and matzah, right, unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, right, so don't boil it, but roast with fire his head with his legs, with the pertinence thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remains of it in the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus ye shall eat it, with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Pesach, Passover. For I will pass through the land of Mitzrayim this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both of man and beast, and against all the Elohai of Mitzrayim I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. And the blood shall be to you for a mark upon the houses where ye are. Right, and remember, this is the house of Yahuwah right now. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Mitzrayim. This is the day, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations, forever. Forever, period. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Even Paul said so. 1 Corinthians 5:7-8, purge out therefore the old leaven, right, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Messiah, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast of Passover, not with the old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth, the Torah. Hallelujah. Paul knew what he was talking about. Forever. Forever is forever. And listen, brothers and sisters, this is a foreshadow of what's to come. So I want to show you a passage in Jeremiah 31:8. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and lame, with the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together, a great company shall return thither. So this is the greater Exodus. But I forgot to actually put this down. So also Jeremiah 23, 7-8. Which says, Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Right? They don't even talk about it anymore. But Yahweh liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Yisrael out of the north country, and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So this is the greater Exodus. What's interesting, though, the reason I'm bringing this up is, in the Septuagint, the Masoretic is roughly, I think is 900 AD it was written. So, only 1,100 years ago. The Septuagint, though, is like 200 BC. So it's like 1,100 years older than the Masoretic. The Masoretic text is where the KJV comes from, even the CEPHER, many of the versions that we read. The Septuagint was the Greek versions and was the scriptures that more than likely that the apostles were reading. So anyways, let's read the same passage that we just read in Jeremiah 31:8. Let's read that in the Septuagint. And in the Septuagint, the order is a little off. So it's actually chapter 38, verse 8. Behold, I bring them from the north, and will gather them from the end of the earth to the feast of Passover, and the people shall beget a great multitude, and they shall return hither. So is it interesting that more than likely the day of what we're looking for is going to be the day of Passover again? I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Oh yeah, so we passed a couple of the commandments. So we read up to 14. So Exodus 12:7, you shall slaughter the Pesach at twilight 1 of Nisan. So we know that we don't have to be slaughtering any animals anymore. We can keep this feast with as a remembrance. You shall eat the Pesach with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. We can keep that. We can eat matzah and we can eat bitter herbs with it. You shall not eat the Pesach unless it is roasted whole in fire. So you can get lamb, right? And some people, do have their own lambs and goats, and you can do it yourself. Last year we just went out and got a leg of lamb, and we roasted it with fire. Exodus 12:10. So again, we're going through these 613 laws here. Exodus 12:10. You shall not allow any of the Pesach to remain, and so that's what we did last year. So anything that remained, any of the bones, anything, we burned it all up. And so so we stopped there. So we're gonna stop there. So 12:15. 7 days ye shall eat matzah, unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eats chametz, leavened bread, from the first day into the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Yisrael. And so this is something we can keep. We can remove all leaven from our house and not eat leaven. That we can do. Exodus 12:16. And in the first day there shall be a holy assembly, right? A gathering. And in the seventh day there shall be a holy assembly unto you. So a gathering on the first day and the last day. Just like Sukkot. No manner of work shall be done in them, save, except that which every man must eat. Only that may be done of you. So for those of you that are staunchly against cooking on Shabbat, hey, you don't have to. But let me tell you something. It's okay to cook on Shabbat. No work except for what we need to eat. Some of you may be saying, oh, Adam, what are you saying? I have a study on this. I haven't released it to the public because, for a couple of reasons. But if you want my study in the comments, just put your email in the chat or in the comments, and I will email it to you. But it says right here, except that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. Right. So why would it say that? And in Jubilees, it also says the very same thing in Jubilees 50. It says the exact same thing for Sabbath. I'll show you. Jubilees 50, where are you? Okay. Ye shall do no work whatever on the Sabbath day, save, right, except what you have prepared for yourselves on the sixth day. And that doesn't mean you've cooked it on the sixth day. That means you've gathered it, you bought it from the store. If you're a hunter, you killed it, you've cleaned it, you've skinned it, you've prepared it, you've got it ready, so as to eat and drink and rest and keep Sabbath from all work on that day, and to bless Yahweh your Elohim, who has given you a day of festival, a holy day, and a day of the holy kingdom for all Yisrael is this day among their days forever. So again, it says no work whatever on the Sabbath, save, except. We see the same thing for the Sabbath as what we do for the Pesach. Save that which every man must eat, only that may be done of you. So you can cook. You can cook if you want to. If you want cold leftovers, that's completely up to you. There's definitely no command to cook. But the whole point of Shabbat, as we know here, is in Jubilees 2. I think it's 21 or 22. What? Oh, that's because this is Jasher. Whoops. Wrong book. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not right. 2, I think it's 22. Oh, here, 21. And thus this is Jubilees 2:21, and thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should keep Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink and to bless him who has created all things. To me, that doesn't. I'm not trying to sound nasty or blasphemous or whatever, but it does not sound like a day for cold leftovers. I mean, this is a day of rejoicing with our Creator, to eat and to drink and to bless him who has created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified unto himself a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they should keep Sabbath together with us. Some of you may say, well, you're not supposed to kindle a fire in your dwelling. No, I agree. And I believe that was for a context of working, doing your employment, because a lot of employment back then required a fire. Because if we take that for no fire whatsoever, that also means not heating your home. And I could tell you, especially even for me, I live in mid-America, but what good old Frank and Beans living in Arkansas, Alaska? What about people that live in Michigan and in Canada and whatnot? You're going to tell them they can't heat their home on the Sabbath? That's a burden. That's not what he intended it for. I believe that no kindling of fire in your dwelling is for don't do any work. Anyways, okay, so let's, where are we? So save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. You can cook. Exodus 12:17, and ye shall guard the feast of matzah, unleavened bread, for in the selfsame day I have brought your enemies out of the land. I've brought your armies out of the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore ye shall guard this day in your generations, an ordinance forever. Oh, that's 8. Next one's 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat matzah until the 21st day of the month that is at evening. So, you shall eat only unleavened bread during Chag Matzah, so during the festival of unleavened bread. Can we handle that? Can you handle not eating leavened bread for a week? Absolutely you can. I know you can do it. You can even do tortillas. You have to be careful, though. Some tortillas have leaven in them. You actually have to read the ingredients. I buy uncooked tortillas, where it literally just has wheat, salt, oil, and water, and you put it on the pan and you cook it. That doesn't have any leaven in it. So you can handle it. So when's the next one? 19. Okay, so yeah. 7 days shall there be no chametz, leaven, found in your houses. For whoever eats that which is with chametz, leaven, even that soul shall be cut off from the assembly of Yisrael, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. So, can we keep this one? Right? Yes, we can. Exodus 12:20, ye shall eat nothing with chametz. In all your habitation ye shall eat matzah. So there you go. There's another one of the 6:13. You shall not eat anything with leaven during the feast of unleavened bread. Very simple. All right. 21. Then Moshe called for all the elders of Yisrael and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Pesach, Passover, and ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. So the top and the sides, right? Was it last year or 2 years ago with my kids? We had fun. We just got a bowl of water in one of those kitchen utensils where you like brush oil on like on something, whatever. A baster, yeah. So we just got a bowl and a baster, and we just put water on the side just to reenact it. Get the kids involved. And I'm talking to myself because I need to really do a better job of getting them excited about this, and there's lots of neat ideas out there. So yeah, okay. And start the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out of the door of his house until the morning. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Mitzrayim, and when he sees the blood upon the lintel on the 2 side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And ye shall guard this thing for an ordinance to you and your sons forever. Forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye are come into the land which Yahweh will give you, according as he has promised, that ye shall guard this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? And ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Pesach, who passed over the houses of the children of Yisrael in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrayim and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Yisrael went away and did as Yahweh had commanded Moshe and Aharon. So did they. And let's see. Okay. Here we go. The 10th and final plague, the death of the firstborn. So Exodus 12:29. And it came to pass that at midnight Yahweh smote all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, and he and all his servants, and all the Mitzrayim, and there was a great cry in Mitzrayim, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moshe and Aharon by night, and said, Rise up, and get you forth from among the people, both ye and the children of Yisrael, and go, serve Yahweh as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Mitzrayim were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We all be dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes and upon their shoulders. And the children of Yisrael did according to the word of Moshe, and they borrowed of Mitzrayim jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of Mitzrayim, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Mitzrayim. And the children of Yisrael journeyed from Ramses to Sukkoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men, these were fighting men, beside the children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. So just real quick, this reminds me of the numbering of the 144,000. Right, it says, And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed on 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Yisrael. And so I believe that those numbered are men for war. And then saying here, so after all the sealing, and then it says, After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. So we're talking about here, again, the numbered 600,000, and then a mixed multitude went up with them. So we have the 144,000, the numbered males for war, and then after this, behold, and lo, a great multitude. Now, it is interesting that they used after this, and I think that was translator's bias, because if we look at that word after that was used, if we look at the Greek, so here we are, Revelation 7:9, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. Well, if you look at after, the word after, meta, 345 times it was translated as with. So it was the translator's discretion to decide to go, well, I'm going to go with after, because I feel like this is going to happen after. But what if the true meaning was with? So with this, so just like with the numbered of the 600,000 on foot and the great multitude that went with them, what if the same thing happens with the 144,000, that they go and with them, right? I'm sorry, over here, and with this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. I believe it's the same thing. Hey, Bubby. What's wrong? What's wrong, honey? What happened? What happened? You okay? You ready for Daddy to come out for you? Okay, give me just a little bit, okay, and I'll finish up. You want to say hi to everybody? No? Okay. All right, go inside. Okay, and Daddy will be finished in just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit longer, honey. I'm sorry.
I don't want
Huh?
blue. I don't want blue.
You don't want what?
Blue.
Okay. Can you? Daddy's got to finish this. Can you go inside for just a few minutes, and I'll finish this up? Maybe about 15 minutes, okay? Okay.
Can't. But I just don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Sorry. Hang on one second, baby. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. I am not really sure why my son is still up. Give me just a moment. I need to take care of something. Give me just a few minute break. Okay, sorry, brothers and sisters. I apologize about that. Guess my son was hanging out with my wife on the couch, and she fell asleep, and he's just stayed up until almost midnight. So I need to finish this up a little sooner than later. So we're probably just going to kind of read through. Let's see. Yeah, we won't be skipping that much. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay. So again, I guess you're getting my point as far as the numbered for war and the mixed multitude coming with. And also within the flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked matzah cakes of the dough, which they brought forth out of Mitzrayim, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Mitzrayim and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Yashrael, who dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim and in the land of Canaan, and their father was 430 years. So this was the 430 years was not just in Egypt; it was also in the land of Canaan included. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day, it came to pass that all the hosts of Yahweh went out from the land of Mitzrayim. It is a night to be much observed unto Yahweh for bringing them out of the land of Mitzrayim. This is that night of Yahweh to be observed of all the children of Yashrael in their generations. This is a big day. And listen, we have to remember, we just read the passage earlier, that no longer are people going to talk about this night, but the one that's going to come is going to be so much bigger. Verse 43, And Yahweh said unto Moshe and Aharon, This is the ordinance of the Pesach. There shall no stranger eat thereof. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. If one in one house shall it be eaten, you shall not carry it forth out aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the assembly of Yashrael shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you, and will keep the Pesach to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, and let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One Torah shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourns among you. Thus did all the children of Yashrael, as Yahweh commanded Moshe and Aharon, so did they. And it came to pass on the selfsame day that Yahweh did bring the children of Yashrael out of the land of Mitzrayim by their armies. So hallelujah. So let's look at some of those commands that we saw in there. So we stopped at 20. So 43, you shall not allow any uncircumcised alien to eat of the Pesach. So, in today's day, this is probably more so of an uncircumcised heart and an unbeliever. I don't believe that this is a meal to bring unbelievers to. You can rebuke me for it, but that's what the Torah says. An uncircumcised alien to eat the Passover says, you shall not allow an uncircumcised alien to eat of the Pesach. 45, you shall not allow any sojourner to eat of the Pesach. This is a sacred, this is the high holy day. This is the day. This is the day that we're waiting for too. You shall not, Exodus 12:46a, you shall not remove the Pesach from your house until the morning. We can observe all these that we've read so far. Exodus 12:46b, you shall not break any bone of the Pesach. Well, we can do that too. You shall, Exodus 12:48, you shall not allow any uncircumcised person to eat of the Pesach. Kind of repetitive from the one above. You shall, then we'll stop there and we'll read a couple out of 13 that we're going to read. Daniel? Okay. So Exodus 13:1. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, sanctify unto me all the firstborn. Whatsoever opens the womb among the children of Yashrael, both of man and beast, it is mine. I'm sorry. I think that's my son. Hang on. I'm sorry. So there's got to be something special. Speaking of firstborns, Daniel is our firstborn, and just something special about those firstborns. I don't know. I'm not saying that to make anybody feel less if they're not a firstborn and all that kind of stuff, but so something about it says, sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever opens the womb, right? So the first child that passes through, that opens up a woman's womb, among the children of Yashrael, both of man and of beast, it is mine, he says. And Moshe said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out from Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand of Yahweh brought you out from this place. There shall no chametz, leavened bread, be eaten. This day came ye out in the month Aviv. And it shall be, when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanim, and the Chittim, and the Amorim, and the Chavim, and the Yebusim, which he swore unto your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that ye shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat matzah, unleavened bread, and in the 7th day ye shall be a feast to Yahweh. Matzah shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no chametz, leaven, be seen with you, neither shall there be the leaven seen with you all in your quarters. And you shall show your son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which Yahweh did unto me when I came forth out of Mitzrayim. And it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that Yahweh's Torah may be in your mouth. So this is interesting. It's almost like it's a reward he's giving you for celebrating the Pesach, the Passover, that he will put his Torah in your mouth. For with a strong hand has Yahweh brought you out of Mitzrayim. And we'll talk about this sign upon your hand and memorial between your eyes for just a second, in a minute. You shall therefore guard this ordinance in his appointed time from year to year. And it shall be, when Yahweh shall bring you into the land of the Canaanim, as he swore unto you and to your fathers, and he shall give it to you, that you shall set apart unto Yahweh all that open the womb, and every firstling that comes of a beast which you have, the males shall be Yahweh's. And every firstling of an ass you shall redeem with a lamb. And if you will not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. And all the firstborn of man among your children shall you redeem. And it shall be, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What is this? What? That you shall say unto him, By strength of hand Yahweh brought us out from Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that Yahweh slew all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both the firstborn of the man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to Yahweh all that opens the womb, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a mark upon your hand, and frontlets between your eyes, for by strength of hand Yahweh brought us forth out of Mitzrayim. So we see here twice now that the celebrating of his Pesach, is like a sign on our hand and frontlets between our eyes. And so I think, in an opposite context, in Revelation 13:16 through 17, you've got the mark of the beast. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So it's the same thing, hand, forehead. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, right? No, you can't buy and sell on the Shabbat, right? No man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So I believe the mark of the beast is the exact opposite of the mark of Yahweh. And we'll see this one more time in Deuteronomy 6. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that thou mightest fear Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yisrael, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahweh Eloheinu of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh our Elohim is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. This is what Yahusha quoted. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, right? So remember, we're talking about the Passover being passed on to the children. Well, commandments, all of them. And thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, when thou risest up. So his commandments, right? And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. So, I fully believe that the mark of Yahweh is the opposite of the mark of the beast. I believe you're carrying one or the other. In any case, brothers and sisters, I'm glad that we got to do this together. I apologize about the interruptions, but I am just a man, a father, and I've got children, and apparently they stay up till midnight. So, anyways, I apologize about the interruptions. But what we're going to do is I'm going to pray, and we're going to play the Song of Moshe, because we're going to play this every time until you guys memorize it. And we're going to continue on with our Shabbat, and I pray that your Shabbat is restful, and I just pray it's a blessing. I do. I really do. What am I going to read tomorrow night? Or tomorrow, on Shabbat? What am I going to read? Psalms. I'm going to read through the Psalms. I'm going to start at 1 and just read until my eyes get tired and then I fall asleep and take a nap. So let's bow our hearts. Oh, Heavenly Father, Yahweh Most High, we just do come before you in Yahusha's name, and we just bless you and thank you for your word, which is a refreshing. It's a lamp to our feet. It's your word, our King of Kings. Abba, I just thank you for opening our eyes and ears to your Torah, and please continue to do so that we may behold the wondrous things that is written in your Torah. And we just want to honor you and walk the straight and narrow path. Abba, strengthen us for the days to come, and please guard us and our families from this evil world and its devices, and let us cast off the world to be more like you. Thank you for Shabbat. Thank you for a full day of rest. Thank you for a day set apart unto you. We love you. We believe in you. We have faith in you. We're waiting for you. We love you. In Yahusha's name, amen And amen. Brothers and sisters, enjoy your Shabbat. I pray that this was a blessing, and we'll see you soon.
I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahweh is a man of battle, Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths covered them, they went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahuwah, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath, it consumed them like stubble. And with the wind of your nostrils, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall, the depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil, my being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, my hand destroys them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them, they sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahweh, among the mighty ones? Who is like you, great in Kodeshah, awesome in praises, working wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your kindness, you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your Kodesh dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled, anguish gripped the inhabitants of Pelasheth. Then the chiefs of Edom were troubled, the mighty men of Moab. Trembling grips them, all the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them by the greatness of your arm. They are as silent as a stone, until your people pass over, O Yahuwah. Until the people whom you have bought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which you have made for your own dwelling, the Mikdash, O Yahuwah, which your hands have prepared. Yahweh reigns forever and ever.